Welcome to day one of the Swiss stage. Spoilers if you haven't seen those games yet. The most important thing that happened in day one of Swiss, since there weren't really any upsets, the closest thing was Top Esports taking down T1. T1 considered by many to be a favorite or a team that will go really far, but Top Esports really holding their own and taking the victory in that. It wasn't a perfect victory, but let's dive into some of the things that happened there. This lane swap is just destroying Top Esports. They take the entire top tower in the first 8 minutes. I don't think whatever Riot's lane swap changes were supposed to be worked very well, because top lane and bot lane both just feasting on this turret. Top lane ends up 1,000 up, bot lane 400 up, just sharing that top lane turret gold, and T1 ends up 2k gold up. And then T1 think they have this good engage with the Nico, but it's mostly onto the tank Skarner, and then they actually just all cluster up into this meat grinder. And Skarner, Renekton, Rel just all jump in, and they have all this AoE melee damage, just shreds them in the blender, with Jhin providing extra DPS from the side. And this time for Faker, much better, because one, he catches Jackie Love, and two, Renekton is not here to follow up on the multi-man Skarner suppression. Renekton is not even in this fight. So T1 actually wins this one quite handily. Top Esports absolutely insane to engage on this 5v5 underneath the turret. And it doesn't go well for them at all. Right here, it's 5v4, and they're about to kill Renekton, and all they need to do to kill the Renekton is he's going to take one tower shot, and so they would just need a backup, and Faker and Guma, as the range champs, would need to attack him a couple of times. Instead, Wukong, on very low health, jumps in, and he's going to get killed for it. And instead of backing up and spreading out against all this AoE damage, Skarner boulders coming in AoE, Aurora AoE, they just all stay clumped up, get hit by the AoE, get hit by more AoE, and they end up losing 3 for it. So that was not actually a good fight for Top Esports until they baited T1 in at the very end with the Renekton. And if they had not been baited by that Renekton, it would have been a better fight for T1. So bad fight from both teams there. Here, Faker goes in again, but just no damage. Guma's not even in the fight, and Wukong gets caught up here. And so it's just him and Rakan and the Jax against 4 TES. And so they just can't burst down the Renekton. There's not nearly enough damage to follow up on that Nico ult. And TES just happy to steamroll from there. So tons of weakness shown from T1. This was after T1 was able to get a 3k gold lead. They just threw fight after threw fight after threw fight. The team comp wasn't good to follow up on the Nico. The execution wasn't good to follow up on the Nico. 4v1 dive from BLG. And why is it botched? Well, it's pretty simple. You're always wanting to get the tower aggro on the support first so that your damaging champions can have the most time doing damage. But we see here, it's actually Bin's auto attack that does the first damage on Mirwin. Bin picks up the turret aggro, and from there, he takes 3 turret shots, and now it's very difficult for him to get back in. Now this time they do it correctly. On gets the first damage on, but Bin is so scared that he's going to get Q3'd and just killed that he can't even get any damage done. And On also a split call here. On can't decide whether he wants to make it out or just tank the tower until death. So here, normally what you do is you stand on the edge if you want to leave right before you would die. But here he doesn't have enough health, so he just decides, I'm going to die. It would have been better if he had just said, look, we messed it up the first part, so I'm just going to die for certain. If you already know you're suicide dying, you might as well just stay on the Cassante and make sure the other 3 get out alive. So it was a risky play, him trying to get 0 deaths here. And instead of getting 0 deaths, they end up getting 2 deaths. So really the worst thing that could have happened there. But little by little, BLG catches up. They win this fight by a lot. Nothing fancy here, just playing better. And they take it in 26 minutes. Here, Weibo go to take the dragon, and GENG try to sneak the Baron. This is beautiful. Canyon dodging the Poppy ult with the W. And then they're totally scared out of the pit by this Maokai R. Makes Breathe back off. But now so arrogant from GENG. Down 3k gold, got the Baron. Now they want even more. Yeah, you get 1,500 gold from Baron, but you don't get to spend that if you start the fight right after you Baron. That's why teams always take the Baron and then try to get out and get back to base to buy the item. Weibo's jungler is down, so they're playing with fire trying to take this control ward while the 5th GENG member comes in, and while they're taking the control ward, Keen loops around. Danger taking control wards in solo queue or pro play, and now the Smolder's just way too strong. And then Weibo with another risky Baron play just because they knock Chovy away with the Poppy. They think they have time to melt it, which they do. They get the Baron kill, but you have to think, okay, what's going to happen after we get the Baron? Now again, usually when you get the Baron, you back off. Weibo Gaming, super greedy, does not back off. And they get smoldered. Eyes on Smolder here. Dead. Dead. Here, Ivern being zoned off the dragon, and then Maokai just surrendering the spite to dive in to Ivern. Don't know why Maokai is doing that. And Pei's not there for the rend either. You can see Pei's is up here, so neither Pei's nor Maokai on the Elder Dragon. Absolutely insane to go for this 50-50. Horrible play by GENG. Ends up working out for them. Complete back and forth throws. Tons of weakness from both of those teams. More worried for Weibo, of course, but not impressed at all with GENG's play here. Humanoid trying to go on LeBlanc. Jun wasting his flash, throwing everything onto a LeBlanc. Very risky because she's very hard to take down. And Jun ends up getting punished for wasting the flash trying to get the LeBlanc. Gets popped himself. Watch Humanoid on the Yone. Beautiful R is going to come across here on the Ezreal. And then Kaisa also diving onto the Ezreal. And Ezreal's just in a death sandwich. He can't flash up and he can't flash down. He ends up trying to flash down, but aiming blown up. Humanoid trying to 2v1 this really bad because he's an important part of the DPS on the Baron, so they can't burn the Baron very fast while he's wasting all this time. Ends up just sacrificing his life, and now they have to give up the Baron. Or they can not give up the Baron and die. That's another option. We see this Yone ult way less effective when the Renekton's not there to follow up. Just kind of goes in and then has to E right back. And now the Yone is basically done with his usefulness. Why start a Baron when all 5 of the enemy team are up and they know that you're doing it? APA trying to hit this Flash Pop Blossom, but Gala's the only target, so when he flashes out, it's just a whiff. And now they know they can jump in on the Nico because she's all out of usefulness. So concerns that APA might not look so good if he doesn't have the Ziggs may be accurate. So LNG looking pretty clean, pretty in control. 2k gold up. Intel. Rumble's farming bot lane, but the rest of the team is supposed to be guarding top. But then the jungler goes bot, jungle, and Tristan is backing in the top lane at the same time. So abandoning all people who are supposed to be watching the Baron. Totally unforgivable macro by LNG. Why does he start the Pop Blossom here? He's so far from everyone. APA is throwing this game completely. You see the ult from Scout actually keeps Umpty out of the pit. So that's huge. LNG struggling way too much against TL, who looks like they're honestly one of the weakest teams in play-ins, at least from this day. Here, Doran dies because the Jacks follow with the CC, and then Peanut dives in trying to save him, but then that's going to end up dooming himself. HLE gets one back. I warned in the group stage that this Akali would be really hard to play against better teams. You can see an example of that here. Maple goes in, gets caught by the flash Xayah root, and all it takes is that one CC spell, and the Akali's just done. Really hard champ to play against really competitive teams. You can see this Baron take from HLE much better than the other ones we've seen today. They have vision on this bush, so they know there's no jungler near. Doran's over the wall to keep any jungler out. So this isn't the 50-50 type of Baron fight, right? Because they know that there's no jungler here. But definitely some dicey early game, just like we've been seeing out of many of the other Eastern teams. This is just a snowball victory. By the first big fight of the game, FlyQuest is already 3k gold up, and GAM just can't get any damage down on a team that's 3k gold up. Push for a win off that Baron. Very decisive victory from FlyQuest. First spicy pick we've seen all day. Broken Blade Yasuo's in the top lane. And PNG just completely out-farmed, down over 1,000 gold in almost every lane, despite there being not that many fights. It's a very decisive victory by G2, but PNG probably the weakest team in the Swiss stage, so hard to really know much about G2. So my power ranking stays pretty much the same. GENG I'm dropping down a little bit because of how many times they threw against Weibo. LNG I'm dropping down a little bit because it was way too close against Team Liquid, who I dropped down to near the bottom because I thought their performance was really bad. And then FlyQuest I raised up a little bit because I thought their performance was pretty good. D plus Kia also, I think, you know, looking way too close to Fnatic for comfort. I would expect LNG to D plus to really be dominating these Western teams more than they were. But otherwise, I think we saw pretty much what we expected out of the teams. All in all, a fantastic day of games, fantastic Swiss stage. Can't wait to see what all the teams bring out tomorrow. Make sure you're subscribed here to catch all the coverage of that. And thank you so much for watching. See you next time.